So today I'm talking to Kazryel Bolwell of Purple Flamingo Vintage, a small boutique in Crickhowell, South Wales. They stock alternative fashion and accessories and are an inclusive boutique that provides beautiful and exciting fashion for all genders. Their ethos is embracing the joy and confidence that fashion brings to our everyday lives. Hi, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm good, thank you.
Do you want to start by just giving us a little bit more info about you and how you came to start the lovely Purple Vintage Boutique?
Okay. I am a mum of two, single mum by myself with two children, and I worked in retail for a long time. Well, as soon as I was able to get a job, I'd been in retail, and I worked for Arcadia Group for 10 years. And that's pretty much where everything started. I love clothes, I love fashion, I love putting things together, and something I really enjoyed when I worked with Arcadia was when you had people come in that just didn't know what they wanted and what they wanted to wear, and you would get a bunch of things for them to try on, and you'd pick something up and they go, oh, I never wear that. And you could just try it on and see, and then they would put it on, they would love it, and they would buy it, and it just would make them so happy. Just have someone give them that push to wear something that they would never think they'd wear, and they'd look amazing in it. And I always really enjoyed having that relationship with customers, and it was just so nice to be a part of bringing that happiness to them, really. So so I worked in Dorothy Perkins, Evans, Burton's, a mix of them all. And I did that for 10 years. And when I had my second child, I went on maternity, and then things changed and my life became a single parent, and I didn't go back to work. And I was a little bit stuck for a few years where I was just looking after my children, and that was it. And I just thought, what can I do? I struggled to find a job once my youngest was in nursery, because it couldn't seem to find the hours to fit around the kids. And my CV just was really, I had 10 years of experience, but it was just up that block of 10 years, and there was nothing else really to say about it. And I thought, I could just sell stuff online. and I just thought, well, what could I sell? I had no idea what I could sell. And then I looked at my own wardrobe, and I looked at what I loved, and I thought, well, I could just sell what I wear. And I started looking into the brands that I buy personally, and reaching out to them to ask to stock their clothes. And I built my website in 2017, and I had just a few brands, a little bit of stock because I didn't have a lot of money. And I launched the website in November 2017, and it went from there, really. That was the beginning part.
So you say you built the website, and you physically built the website yourself. How did you find that? Was that I'm guessing it was a big, a new kind of challenge for you. How did that go?
Oh yeah, I used GoDaddy initially, just because I didn't really know what to do. So I thought, I just put in Google search, and that came up, and it seemed just simple enough to use, which it was. But there's a reason why I'm not using the platform anymore, is because it was a very, very basic and very, very simple. But I kept that platform until last year. For my website, I kept it until summer last year, until then I changed over to Shopify, which is much more suited to my needs and my customers, really. But that was GoDaddy was the first platform that I used, and it was simple and it was easy. And I then obviously used Facebook and Instagram to promote, and it was very, very slow to start with. Really, I thought, I'm going to launch this, it's going to be amazing, and then it was very quiet, like crickets. And I thought, oh no, I made a huge mistake, this is terrible, I should never have done this. And it went into the new year, and I started to pick up sales gradually, and they started to just be more visible online. And it got to the point where I thought, I can't keep all this stock in my house. My full dining room was full of clothes. I can't do this. And one of the brands I really wanted to stock was a Regular Choice shoes, and I'd spoken to them, and they said that I couldn't stock their shoes unless I had a shop. And that was kind of like the catalyst, really, of I'm going to find a shop then, because I want to stock this brand. This is a brand I love myself. I want to stock it. I know people love these shoes. So I started looking for a shop, and that was disheartening because it was just so expensive. And I thought, oh, again, what am I doing? I can't afford this. I must be crazy. I've got 2 kids and I'm by myself. What am I doing? And it was my friend, she noticed some units available in Crickhowell that were not on the high street. They were just tucked up out of the way in a place called the Courtyard. And she told me about it. I was like, no, it's not. If no one can find it, there's no point in me looking at it. And she kind of nudged me a bit more. She was like, let's just go and have a look at it. So I went, I had a look, and it's such a beautiful little area of old converted barns. It's really, really pretty, and it's not very far from the high street. So I went and had a look at it, and I thought, oh, I could probably make this work. And I had a moment of madness. I went, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll take it, without even thinking about anything else. It just went, yeah, okay, send over the contract like a crazy person, very impulsive. But I thought if I could get the shop, I could get the shoes, and it obviously worked out because I got things went from there. And I moved into the Courtyard in May 2018 and opened then. And that's when things really changed in terms of my online presence in certain groups to do with what I sell. I was in certain groups, and I found that more customers would be more likely to purchase when they could see I was a legitimate shop that existed. If that makes
that's very interesting, actually. Yeah, because I suppose that nowadays there's so many people like just popping up online to sell stuff, and it's very difficult to know, isn't it, whether that person is, you're going to place an order, and like, the shoes that you sell, they're not cheap shoes, they're beautiful shoes, but and they're very unique. But yeah, people want to be able to know that you're, like you say, that reputable business. Did you find, so just to go back a little bit, you said you're part of groups. Is that how you kind of found that you were spreading the word? Is that how you did it, by getting involved in various groups with people who like that kind of fashion? Because it's very unique fashion, isn't it?
It is very unique. I try and get it to be a mix of, some of it's really outrageous, some of it's a bit more, I don't need it normal, but more neutral, more relaxed. So I try to have that spectrum of choices, really. But the groups, they were the how I promote, really. I didn't want to rely on friends and family, not that they didn't help or anything, but they shouldn't be my customers, because I knew sold isn't for them. So having them share my stuff would have been a bit pointless, really, because who they're sharing it to isn't going to be one of my customers, probably. So by being a part of the group, they're just little communities, and you could just post, you just post your business links in, and then you eventually get the word of mouth, with people say, oh, I've bought from this lady, she's genuine, and it snowballed from there, really. And it was when I got to, when was it, May 2018. So by February 2019, A Regular Choice got back in touch, and they said, you can stock us now because you have a shop. And they're very picky, so they had to come and look at the shop to see what it called. They had to see the size of the shop, had to meet certain requirements, and because they are so passionate about their own brand, that they need it to fit with who's selling it. And she said, yeah. So I had my shoes arrive in the February of 2019, and again, that was another like little explosion then of more people that saw me, and my visibility was out there even more from that.
Did you do, I imagine you did a little happy dance when they said you could have your shoes?
A mix of a happy dance, and then when they bring the collection to do your order, they have a minimum order, and most places do, but because the shoes are very expensive, they're also very expensive to buy. And I did my my first order was, I literally did the minimum order of 64 pairs of shoes, and I finished it. She totaled it all up and she said the amount, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to spend this amount of money. It was frightening, because I thought this could not work. This might pay off, and I might not get that money back. And what am I going to do when I'm out that amount of money? And I got all these shoes, but luckily it worked. And from that point, from 2019 to now, I don't do minimum order anymore. I do much more than minimum order. So things have really progressed in that way. And it's amazing to think that I just had that tiny little order at the very beginning, and it's gone to this now where I go through the whole seasons and all the extra ones and the little exclusives that they do. And that's
amazing. That's amazing. So when you sort of, I'm just trying to sort of get into like your mindset when you were starting out, because it's very different to work in a shop than it is to run and own a shop and be responsible for the stock the stock management, the ordering, the cash flow, looking after the customers. How did you find that? Did you find, what was the hardest part? Actually, it's probably a better question. What was the hardest part you found making that transition to actually having to be responsible for everything yourself? Which bit was the hardest bit for you?
I think it was the fact that when I came into work, when I'd get there in the morning, I'd work until 5 o'clock, and then I would go home and I'd still be working. You didn't end at 5 o'clock. And that was something that I found really hard to get used to at the beginning. And I was like, I don't want to be doing this evening. When you're working with someone else, you go to work, you do your hours, you come home.
Yeah.
And it was that, like, trying to get into a routine of actually setting the time aside outside of the shop to get things done. But because I'd done so much in terms of merchandising when I worked for Arcadia, I kind of had that experience from a visual aspect anyway. And I always said when I worked that I wanted to be someone that went and chose the clothes that we would stock. And now I'm actually doing that. I get to sit. That's actually my favorite part, is to go onto my brands and look through things and think, what am I going to have for spring, summer? What am I going to have for autumn, winter? And I love choosing things that all fit together. But yeah, trying to manage that time and with kids was
I was just thinking that. So how old are your children now? It must be quite challenging to fit it all in, because you're stuck. It's not like me. I work from home. If I want to work from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. I can. But
yeah,
with a shop you have to be there. Day.
Thing that naively I thought, if I work for myself, if school need me for any reason, or if I need to take a day off, and I've got no one to tell me off, essentially. I feel really guilty about having to call in sick or anything like that. Even if it actually was ill, I'd still feel terrible about it, because I'd be letting other people down. I thought the only person I'm letting down is myself. And at the time, at the very beginning, I was hardly ever called to school. But when in 2019 in May, my daughter got really poorly, and I had a day where I was supposed to be going to work, and she wasn't well. She was with her dad, and I popped in to go see her, and something wasn't right. We went to the doctors, and they rushed us to hospital, and she was type 1 diabetic, and we didn't know.
Yes.
Because it had been going on so long. She was very, very ill. She had something called DKA, which is very, very dangerous. She was in high dependency, very, very ill. And I thought, I was thinking, I need to go to work. What am I going to do? And I quickly put something on Facebook to say that the shop would be closed, and I just stayed with my daughter. I didn't really realize the impact of her diagnosis initially, because we were just waiting for her to get better, really.
Yeah.
To come out the other end. But afterwards I thought, I can't go back to work. I'll never be able to go back to work now, because I've got this daughter that she's not well. She's had to have these injections every day, and how am I going to manage working and her all at the same time? And I took altogether about a month off work. I didn't open the shop.
Yeah.
And I posted orders when I could, and I had to explain to people, you're just going to have to wait. But going from there, I then went back to work, and there would be times when school would ring me and say, can you come and pick her up? She's got low blood sugar, she's this, she's that. And I would have to just leave in the middle of the day. And then I would get emails from customers saying, your advertised hours say you're open at this time and you're not here. We're up. Like, I wanted to come and shop with you. And I feel awful. And I'd be like, I'm sorry. I just had to go. I don't have time to, I just have to leave because if she's not well, she's not well. And it was such a big time. It was a horrible time. It was really frightening. And it made me, can I continue running this business and looking after her? And her brother as well, who's a couple of years younger. And I have no idea how I managed it or how I do still manage it, because it's such hard work and it's exhausting having someone need you so much more because their life literally depends on it.
But it just goes to show how resilient you are, though, doesn't it? And do you think, you know, and
I'd call it red wine.
let's call it resilience and red wine. But you know, I suppose, do you find it helps the fact that yes, it's hard work and it's stressful and it's a big responsibility being the business, but you also have a passion for the business as well, don't you? So do you find that sometimes you're having to kind of think, well, just you're having a really bad day and you just keep thinking, but I love
yes,
clothes, I love my customers, you know, how does that
definitely helps, because when I come to work I'm really happy.
Yeah.
So even if I'm really tired and it's been a hard night, I am just so happy when I'm in work, even more so when we're actually open. But sometimes I'll just be like, I've got to go to work for a few hours and I'll just stay in the shop for a bit because I just like being here, and I love my little shop, you know, and it's nice to have that. I'm not just a mum that's looking after children, that's looking after a child with an additional illness. I am another person and I have to go to work. And I knew really that I wouldn't not work, but I had that panic of, oh, I'm not going to be able to, but I knew I could, I knew I'd have to, because I need that separate thing from being a mother, which I love being.
It's kind of, it's a different, you have a different identity, don't you? You know, we all identify as mothers and grandmothers, heaven forbid, but you do need that other identity. You need to be able to say, no, I'm not just so-and-so's mother or so-and-so's partner or whatever, but yes, I have this identity as a businesswoman, as a successful businesswoman, as somebody that is doing her own thing. It's, which I think is amazing, and I just think it's wonderful. Is it just you still working in the business? Do you have anybody else helping you out now?
It's just me, mainly because I can't give up the control. I never thought I was until I opened the shop and people are like, oh, let me help you. And at first I'd say yes. And then they do things that would not be how I would do it. And I would just be like, it's easier just to say no, because I'm going to have to redo whatever they do. But I really want to be able to have another person to be a part of this business, but I also don't want to share it because it's my baby. So it's that thing to overcome, that I just, even my parents, they're like, oh, we'll help you. And I'm like, no, thank you. I'll do it myself because you might do it wrong. I can't let go.
Well, so that's, I think a lot of people will be able to resonate with that, because and the fact that you said it's your baby, that's so true of so many of us, and I'm exactly the same. No, I know, it's quicker for me to do it myself rather than explain to somebody else how to do it. But then I think we do get to a point, and I no doubt, I think I'm just about getting to this point, and possibly you will as well, where you suddenly think, well, actually, me having to do X, Y, and Z, which I don't particularly enjoy doing, is stopping me from doing A, B, and C, which I really do love doing. And so you kind of have to find a way, I think, then, don't you, to make it work for you, to get somebody else to kind of take over the bits that you don't enjoy as much.
I think as time goes on, and maybe when we start to ease out lockdowns and I reopen the shop, it might get to when things are a bit more normal, I might then try and find someone to help, because things just got crazy. We went into lockdown and I just thought, oh, well, I won't be going to work for a while. And I was wrong. Back and forth this shop so much. And it was fine at first, because even though I was coming here a lot more, the orders were still quite small quantities per day. And then we got to October, so I done something that I'd not done with a Regular Choice before, and I did a Halloween collection with them. And from that time onwards, it was just insane. We'd have the launch day and everything nearly sold out on the first day, and then there was the in-between going into November, and then it was Black Friday and Christmas nearly killed me, because obviously we were open during Christmas, so I'd have people coming in the shop and looking at things, and my phone would be going ching, like the little Shopee little thing would be going off, and I'd be like taking things out of people's hands. Sorry, someone's bought that. Sorry, someone's bought that. So the website was going insane. I had customers looking at stock that people were physically buying that moment online. And then I had to wrap it and post it all. And I just thought, I can't do all this by myself, because I'd have to leave the shop, I'd have to lock the shop, to go to the post office to get everything posted. And it was just crazy. And I was going, even on my days off on a Sunday and a Monday, I was going to work just to get more stuff done, more stuff wrapped and posted. And I can't post things like a normal person. When I do my orders, I don't just put the item in a bag and off it goes. I have to wrap everything in tissue paper and put stickers on it and make it all really pretty. And I was like, I'm not going to not do that, because that's my thing, to make it nice for the customer. So I wouldn't even sacrifice that to get things done faster, because I wanted everything to still be as I like it. And it just made it work more.
That's how you present to your customer when they're buying online. That's the only physical, that's the physical relationship they have with you, isn't it? Is that initial opening the parcel and that wow factor, which you can't overestimate how much of an impact that has on somebody, can you? So when you say you were doing like a Halloween collection, when it comes, so obviously I'm just thinking with the online orders, and you were doing your Facebook groups and just sort of networking. But when you decided to sort of have a collection and almost like a launch, how were you promoting that? Were you doing anything additional to promote that online to get the word out? I mean, were you doing any ads or anything like that? Or was it all still purely organic?
With the Regular Choice, they're the only brand they do specific launches for lots of different things throughout the year, and a lot of stuff is embargoed until the day it's launched, so you can't promote anything. It's probably harder. So because I'm not the only stockist in the UK that stocked. I'm sorry, that's a motorbike going past, if you can hear that in the background.
Okay.
I'm not the only stockist in the UK that sells the shoes. There aren't many of us. I am the only one in Wales. But to stop competition between the stockists and anything like that, you can't promote or talk about any upcoming launch until the specific date and time that a Regular Choice give you. You get in big trouble if you do. And they send the images about, I've just gotten my Halloween email today actually for October this year. So that's how far in advance we get these images to choose our stock. And you just can't show anything. And because the images are embargoed, you're not allowed. And so they will send us teasers to put on our own social media, but you can only post them on the times and days that they give you. And they usually tend to start doing that about 3 days before a launch. But apart from that, you can't do anything.
Wow. That's very restrictive, isn't it? But I guess they must obviously do a lot of promotion as well, so that the people know that these products are being launched, and then they just kind of can look for the people the places where they buy them. Is that how it works?
So Regular Choice will post the same things we will all post the same things together at the same time. So it's all fair. It's fair for the brand. It's fair for the stockists. But to be fair, the people who buy Regular Choice, the hardcore customers, they know when things are coming. They know roughly. They'll never know an exact date, and they won't know exactly what the stock is. But when it comes, because they always do a Halloween and Christmas collection, so the people that buy the shoes a lot, they know roughly when something's brewing. They know when it's going to be coming. They'll know when there's an exclusive, because they'll think, oh, it hasn't been exclusive for a while. So they know really. But you can't say anything. You can neither confirm or deny really, which is especially when you know an exclusive a year before it's going to happen. You can't say anything. And you know that they're going to...
Have you ever accidentally slipped up and sort of said something, thought, oh, no, I shouldn't have said that?
No, never. I have one person who I show the collection to, which she doesn't work for me, but we worked next door to each other when I was at the courtyard, and we became really good friends. And I'm a really indecisive person. So when it comes to the shoes, I'm like, I need you to help me choose because there's so many. And so she's the only one that I will show the images to, just so she can help me decide. So we can go through it together. And she's my little confidant, really, and she knows not to say anything as well.
Yeah.
So I have one person to talk about the collections with. Other than that, no, I keep them to myself. It's really hard though.
Wow. I'm just sitting here thinking that you've obviously, you're not in the courtyard anymore. You're actually on the high street in Crickhowell, aren't you? When did that move take place, and what made you decide to make that move?
It was all very fast. I seen something on the local Crickhowell page on Facebook. Someone, the landlords of this shop had posted that it was empty, and it was a barber's initially. And I'd never really noticed it, even though I've driven past it every day. I'd never noticed it. So I sent it again to my friend from the courtyard. I sent it to her and I said, what do you think of this place? Where is it? And she went, oh, it's really small. And I was like, how small? She was like, it's tiny, like small. And my shop was quite small anyway. And she was like, it's half the size of your shop now. And I said, oh, I think I might go and see it. She was like, oh, I just don't know. It's very small. That's all I got, was it's very small. So I'll just go and look. And if it's too small, it's too small. So I went and had a look, and I walked in and I thought, it is small. As small as I thought it was going to be. And I looked around and thought, oh, I could probably make this work. And the main thing is it was on the high street and it had a big window. I thought, as long as I've got a big window, it doesn't matter, because my shop, the courtyard, it wasn't a traditional shop front. So I didn't have windows or anything like that. I obviously had windows, but not a big shop window. I didn't have that better. So I did the same then. I thought, I want this. Immediately I knew, I thought, I want this. It was only £100 more what I was paying at the previous shop. So I thought, for an extra £100 to move, I thought it's got to be worth it. So I was like, yes, I shall have it. And again, straight away, yeah, I'll have this. Thank you very much. And I got the keys in January. I can't remember when in January. I think it was towards the end. And I opened on Valentine's Day in February 2020. And then everything changed again. And I opened on the Valentine's Day, and I think 2 days later we had horrific floods, terrible flooding. I wasn't affected.
Of course, that was I forgot about those.
We had those really horrible weather, really bad floods. So that then stopped me in my tracks for a bit. And then that was under control. It's like, great, let's go back to work. And then things, news was filtering through, and we were like, what should we do? And I decided to close the shop about 3 days before the national lockdown was announced, because I thought they were already closing pubs, and I just thought I might as well just close now and see what happens. And then Boris came and made it official. And then went from there.
Then you already had your online presence. You'd kind of established your online presence. So actually, in some ways, you were possibly better situated than a lot of people, because you already had that foundation, didn't you, online? And I guess you could.
That I had my website. I had my little. I don't have huge following on Facebook and Instagram. But the good thing about those followings is the majority of them are actual customers. So I feel like I don't need a huge following that don't buy anything, and have a little one that do. So I had that little community of people and regular customers. And I thought, well, at least I've got that. And I thought, oh, maybe I'll come to the shop now and again. We'll see. And like I said before, I think, because I know I did it, it was just boredom, online shopping. I'm fairly certain that's what it was. And I'm really grateful for all the people that were really bored and bought loads of shit. But you could see that trend of people being like, well, I've got nothing else to do. I'm I'm furloughed, I'm stuck in the house, I might as well buy things. And you can see it on the groups, the irregular choice groups I'm on, as a buyer and as a stockist. You can see them just saying, well, I had nothing else to do, so I've ordered some shoes. And it was like, oh, I've ordered another pair of shoes. And they'd be ordering like 5 pairs of shoes a day. And then they'd be sharing their photos, and it would just make people happy to see the pictures of shoes.
Can't have too many shoes anyway, can you, to be honest? And they never get too small. However, whatever happens, your shoes always fit. So looking back on sort of your whole journey through this, is there anything looking back that you wish you'd done differently?
Do you know what? I was thinking about that earlier, and I was trying to think of what I would do differently. And I don't think there is anything I do differently, actually, because all the choices I've made have led me to where I am now. And I suppose, no, there really isn't anything different. I'm really happy with every step that I took to get here, because I know that if I hadn't have gone to the courtyard, I wouldn't have had this shop now. If I'd waited and it just wouldn't have happened. And if I had waited and then found this shop, it would have taken that much longer to build everything up, and I wouldn't have the shoes.
Yes. And so the opposite of that then, let's say, what's in the stars for you? I mean, in 5 years, 10 years, what's your, perfect vision of what you want the business to turn into? Sorry?
Bigger shop for sure.
Yeah.
Because very little. It's so small that I don't have a stock room. I don't have anything back of house. It's literally just this one area, and I could do with a much bigger shop. I'd love to have more than one. I'd like to have one in Abergavenny, which is where I live. I'd like to stay in Crickhowell as well, and maybe even venture a bit further, maybe Cardiff, who knows. And I would like to one day be able to maybe have our own brand of dresses as well. But that would be way in the future. I feel like I wouldn't be able to concentrate on something like that just yet. But it would be nice to design and have our own little range.
That would be wonderful. I love, because my dad didn't really mention it. I mean, the name suggests it's Purple Flamingo Vintage, but they are very kind of vintage style dresses. They're absolutely beautiful, aren't they? So yeah, that would be amazing. That would be lovely. I've loved listening to your story, actually. It's been really, I love listening to everybody's stories, but to kind of hear how your journey has progressed and how you've kind of, from where you started to where you are now, and to listen to what your goals are and your visions are for the future is absolutely wonderful. And I really do wish you all the success in the world. And when we are out of lockdown, which hopefully will be soon, I look forward to popping into your shop, because you're literally 4 miles down the road from me. So I come and say hello. And I forwarded your link to my daughter, who loves all that kind of style of stuff. And thank you ever so much for taking the time to speak to me. And
thank you for letting me just waffle on.
That's what we're here for. And it's been lovely talking to you, and every success in the future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.